Start again, eh?
That's all right. You just repeat yourself, that's all.
Morning, viewers.
Morning.
How are you this morning? Special shout out to those viewers at Broken Hill. Okay, so what are we doing this morning? We're going to go and get some ewes and lambs in, and then we're going to vaccinate the lambs with their second dose of Barbavax.
Yep.
And the ewes, will give them a click to stop the fly strike. So let's go and do that.
We've had it pretty dry for the last 4 weeks. You can probably see it's starting to hay off, so there's probably not a lot of fly around, and the worms are pretty good. Did a worm count, so everything's looking pretty good.
Yeah, we don't have to drench them, so that's really good.
Yeah, so it's good.
Righto, okay, let's go.
Crack on.
So the ewes are looking pretty good. Lambs are looking really good. They're growing out very well. Didn't appear to be any fly issues, so that's really good. Yeah, ewes are in good condition. Almost join them again. Well, maybe not. Bit warmer today than it has been. At least there's no bloody howling gale. Pollen's pretty bad, so we're still wearing masks around in the paddock. Bloody hay fever's been knocking everyone around. The chemists were saying that they've had a run on hay fever tablets. Hello, Pud. Pud, come here. Come away. Good dog. Good dog. Oh, yes, Pud. These lambs are going, we don't want to go in there again. We've been here before and we know what it's like. I can't remember now, but it was about 270 ewes in here and 245 or something lambs. We boxed 2 of the lambing mobs together. Yeah, very pleased with them. They're in very good order. Very happy with that. Come on, darlings. Have a few more up the front, or? Hey. I'll just push them up a bit. Come on, darlings. So this is the second shot of Barbavax. They need 3 shots to get primed, and once they're primed, you can Barbavax them once, say, every 6 weeks, and that will give them protection from the Barbers Pole Worm. So this is a subcutaneous vaccination, which is a vaccination under the skin, not into the muscle like an intramuscular one, and it's delivered behind the ear is the ideal spot. Sometimes when things are a bit difficult, you have to do it in the rump, but that's not an ideal situation. And if it's a meat sheep, you probably wouldn't do that, but for merinos, it's okay.
And the loose folds around them.
Yeah, loose folds around the tail. It's where you're not putting anything into the muscle. Right, I'm creating a bit of a hassle here, so I'll get out of the road. So the ewes are in very good condition score. That one's almost a 4. That one's a bit less, about 3.5. Another 3.5. 3.5, 3 3/4. 3.5. So very good condition score. There's no bad ones amongst them. You can see when they were coming in, you couldn't see any bad ones. So really happy with that. One thing about the merinos, they certainly do like this drier weather. The conditions really good and their feet are really good, so it's really good actually. Yeah, much better conditions for merinos, and this is much more normal for us. That wet winter we had and the wet spring They're pretty unusual. That. The wet spring, you know, you get one of those every now and then, but the wet winter is just unreal. Anyway, conditions reverted to normal and it's all good. I'm very happy. Okay, perhaps I should explain what the condition score is all about. So basically, a condition score is sort of anywhere from, you know, maybe 1.5 to 5, and it's a measure of the amount of fat over the backbone. So if you can imagine that the backbone has got, you know, not very much fat, then that would sort of stick up like a set of ribs on a human. Whereas if it's got a bit more condition on it, then and in better order, then the backbone won't stick up so much. So that girl there is probably only just a 3, so she's probably one of the worst conditioned ones in the whole mob. Anyway, so what you want is that you want the condition score to be about 3 during the year for most of these ewes. That keeps them in good health and optimum condition for reproduction and things like that. So it's really good to see them in this order because it means that they're putting a lot of milk into their lambs and growing out good healthy lambs. Now, you know, big fat lambs are not what merino breeders are all about necessarily. But what it does do is secondary follicle development on the lambs is much better. So that means that the lambs end up producing good fine wool, which is what we're after. Yeah, so, you know, it promotes a finer micron and all that sort of thing. So it's really, really good to see what's happening this year.
So he's read the instructions on the back of the click container, and it's going to be 9 mils per side of the breech. It's about a 3-month efficacy with this. We only really use it once a year. So probably, as you can see, they're not bad at the moment, but there is some rain coming next week again, and as the wool gets longer and there's a bit of wet around and there's more flies and the urine and the dags, there's always a potential.
This one here, if you can get a video of that.
Stain on the bag and some dags. The one next to it, pretty good. So it's just about managing it. And looking after your sheep. Yeah, and obviously with the lambs in there with their mums at the moment, they'll rub against it a bit and get a little bit extra on them as well. So it's always a little bit of a bonus. So rather than wiping it off on the side of the rails, it's probably wiping a little bit off on the lambs.
And just because it's Christmas time, we're going to have some fruit mince pies with our cup of coffee this morning. Here's your coffee.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That's right.
Okay, so we're getting there. Only that yard full there to do and then we'll be done. So when we finish this mob, we'll put them in a fresh paddock. Tomorrow we might try and do 2 mobs, a couple of smaller mobs to do tomorrow, so we'll get them in, but we might be able to bring one of those mobs a bit closer this afternoon. So have a bit of time tomorrow. So we've just got to run them up along this fence line and into the next paddock. That'll take about 10 or 15 minutes. Then we might go and get that other mob and bring them into another paddock there a little bit closer. High fives.
Get one more mob.
Yeah. So yesterday when I was driving around the paddock, I noticed this, which is Chilean needlegrass. It's a very nasty weed and we really don't want it. It's come to us via this river and so far it's mostly been contained in this river here. We've got a couple of patches in this paddock that have escaped out of the river. So anyway, we're going to spray this on the way home because it's a bloody nasty weed and we certainly don't want any of it. That's it there, and that's the little bugger. Chilean needlegrass. It's got bloody terrible bloody seeds and they stick into you like you wouldn't believe. There's another little plant of it here I saw somewhere. Very hard to spot. It took us a year or so to get our eye in. Last year we had Mitch, who's next door neighbour. He can see it pretty well, so he gave us a hand last year, and before that Dave Edmonds gave us a hand to spot it as well. But this year we've got our eye in and we can see it ourselves, but gee, it's hard to pick up, there's no doubt about it. Anyway, we'll give that a bit of a squirt. It's not ideal with this wind at the moment, but this is such a nasty weed that I'm not worried about that at the moment. Roundup is pretty effective on it, so that's what we're using. Can you see the other one, Sweet? I saw another one. It's down here somewhere. It's just a single plant.